Money Show.
Personal Finance with Warren Ingram.
Personal Finance on a Thursday night, brought to you by Satrix, investing global funds. Invest with Satrix. Warren Ingram, personal financial advisor, director at Galileo Capital, is with us. Money and happiness. Don't come and tell me that it doesn't bring happiness, Warren Ingram, because I won't believe you, because I know that, because I don't have any and I'm not happy. And I'm sure it will solve my problems. It will restore my faith in myself and make me a better and more generous person. So a guy from Harvard has studied what makes us happy for over 30 years. And Warren, being a nerd, has studied all of these people, and he's a personal financial advisor, as I said, executive director at Galileo Capital. Nerd, I say with love and respect, because I'm grateful for your research. But give me the sense of it, please. Money and happiness, if you would, Warren.
Where we hear this phrase, money can't buy you happiness. And actually there are people that study this over decades. And obviously I like to study them because they do all the hard work and I can read the summary. And then I can observe this over a long period of time. And it's actually not true. What we find over time is that there's a huge jump in your happiness as your earnings rise from the time you earn your first rand up to, it's around about, I mean, without being too specific, somewhere around 1.2 million rand. So as you earn more and more to that point, you actually do start to enjoy life more, and you have more choice and more freedom. And so having more of an income definitely makes you happier to that point. Fortunately or unfortunately, after that, the more your income rises over that 1.2 million level, there is no real difference in your level of happiness. So there is a point where you can earn more money than will make you happy. So as a start, it is about earning, and I think it's as people move from poverty to being in debt, to having to pay the bills, to being under financial pressure, to getting to the point where they earn enough money that they have more choice, more freedom, we find that certainly there's a big correlation between earnings and income. But it's also important to decide how one spends money, and that's the kind of the second part of this, because the way we spend our money has a huge impact on our happiness. And for example, going out to buy a new phone, a new car, a new handbag, shoes, whatever, gives us moments and minutes of pleasure, but thereafter it goes away, and often it leaves us with a psychological hangover, because especially if we bought something expensive, we find that we haven't got much joy out of it, and now we've got this thing that is just upsetting us because it's so expensive and not deriving value. Whereas spending money on experiences does make us happy, and it makes us happy leading up to the time we spend on the experience, during the experience, and then in the months and years thereafter when we start to think back about those experiences. And it could be anything from a music concert, a meal with friends, a holiday, a walk, traveling, anything. All of those kinds of experiences certainly make us happier. So,
but that's how we create our memories. I mean, I'd like you to relate to me, please, your last visit to the shops where you bought something. So you went to the shop, you stood in a queue, you waited, you sanitized, you went to the shop, you said, could I have that Louis Vuitton wallet or whatever it was? You were given the Louis Vuitton wallet, you took your money out of your Busby wallet, you put it into the Louis Vuitton wallet, it made the wallet ugly. And now you carry this wallet around and you're paranoid now about losing this wallet because it's a Louis Vuitton wallet. And actually, when you take it out, you can't go to restaurants really with too many people, so you can't show it off anymore. So actually, you've now got an expensive sort of pocket filler. And I get it. I get the fact that, at some point, the spending in the moment, people feel this rush of endorphins. Oh, look at me. But actually, it's not something that you will take a photograph of and have a memory of and share stories in your old age about, frankly. You'll share the stories of things and times that you shared with people you cared about.
And I think that's exactly that's exactly the amazing thing about these experiences. It could be an experience for yourself, but the more experiences you share with people that are close to you and that you have good relationships with, the greater the level of happiness. And interestingly, if you just anybody listening thinks about the time that they spent with friends or family on it could be anything as simple as a hike or as I say, a music concert or a holiday. And you reflect, months and years later, those are the stories you share with each other. Even though you're all on the same holiday, you spend many countless hours, happy hours, reflecting on those holidays and ripping each other off about whatever happened. And that's the part that makes us happy. And interestingly, doing things for friends, in other words, buying, as I'm sure you do all the time, Bruce, buying your colleagues a coffee when you get to the office, doing something for people makes us happy.
Giving it all away. Nothing makes me happy, Warren. Giving it all away. My family does it to me all the time, and they seem incredibly happy. But it is that sense of the joy of getting the right gift or the right experience or sharing a moment with somebody else is a considerably valuable asset to have. I mean, it's an intangible asset, but it's an asset nevertheless.
And I think that's the part that kind of resonated with me when we were prepping for the shows. We get so kind of fixated on all the things that are happening to us in this country, around the world. We've got these crazy politicians in America, and we've got a budget speech coming up in this country. So many reasons to be fearful, and so many good reasons to be fearful. But I think sometimes we lose sight of the simple things in life, and that's one of the pleasures that some of us have, I think a lot of us have rediscovered in this lockdown phase, is actually simple things with, sharing simple pleasures with other people that are close to us, is valuable. And truthfully, that's one of the secrets to happiness is actually strong relationships. And then when money comes into this, and it is the money show, I guess I've got to bring it back to that, make sure that you spend in the right way. And it's amazing how that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and leads to more happiness and so on. So I think for me, it was kind of a really nice, timely reminder that we've got, lots of people got these expensive cars sitting in the garages doing nothing, the fancy clothes that are sitting in the cupboards because, you can wear shorts on your Zoom calls nowadays, and wonderful slippers in winter, and all of those are cheap things. It's the interesting part for me is understanding and rebalancing ourselves and saying, okay, well, let's go forward from here, and maybe we don't go and spend on the crazy stuff that doesn't make us happy actually, and let's not give ourselves a financial hangover, but reminder what makes us happy is as simple a thing as buying a colleague or a friend a coffee, and what a great return on your money to make yourself and everyone else a bit happier.
Warren Ingram this evening, personal financial advisor, executive director at Galileo Capital. Our question this evening is a fabulous one. It's about how you navigate the world of investment advice. Such a good one with Warren in a moment.
The Money Show.
Personal Finance with Warren Ingram.
Question from Kamo this evening saying, can we have a show on how to navigate investment advisors? There are thousands. Others are affiliated to large companies, others not. What happens if the financial advisor you're using collapses? Is the affiliation with a large corporate useful or not? You wouldn't lose all your money. I personally stay away from smaller advisors, which makes no sense because I find they're less risk averse. I actually work in investment banking, says Kamo, in the mergers and acquisition division on the lending side. But it's a maze out there. Now, when an investment banker tells me that something is a maze, because I'm amazed by what they do in the maze of investment banking, Warren Ingram, I've got to pay attention. Say, hold on a second, there is a problem here when it comes to identifying a financial advisor. And I mean, there have been lots of tools and things that are being created that do it by geography, but this is more than geography. This is a deeply personal relationship.
You're 100% right, and I think it's quite tricky to kind of categorize advisors, by the size of the company, or whether they're affiliated to a large organization, and try and use that as a guide in terms of saying that if an advisor works for a bigger firm, they're going to be worse or they're going to be better, and I like the last comment around the risk averse because I think that's an interesting one, and so I think the starting point for me is. There's certainly, because it's such a personal relationship, if you're going to try and find someone good, the starting point is understanding that they have some sort of qualification in the field, and secondly, that they've got some sort of experience. And so one of the things to look out for is, the qualification for me, and I might be biased because I have it, is called a certified financial planner. And what that tells you, if you're a potential client of someone like that, is that they've studied the qualification, or studied financial planning, I should say, to at least a postgraduate level. So they've got They've got a fairly good understanding of the technical side of what's required in financial planning. And it's quite broad. You have to study everything from life assurance to medical aids to investments. And you have to understand the principles and some of the risks. In addition to that, if the person's a certified financial planner, it also means they've met a minimum standard of experience. They've got a certain amount of experience that's been tested with an industry colleague, and so they then finally have to write a board exam. So by the time you meet someone who's a certified financial planner, that's not to say that you won't get on or you will get on, but at least you know that technically they've got enough skills to be able to give you the advice. So for me, that would be the starting point, and that person could definitely be a small advisor or a big advisor. There's no distinction for certified financial planners. So I think that's the starting point.
The question also is, am I better off in a large institution with lots of financial advisors in case one of them dies, trips over the shoelaces, disappears, gives it up, goes to become an artist in Hogsback or whatever the case might be. I don't know why I picked on Hogsback. It's a nice place. But that's why they would go. But am I better off going into a big organization or going for the standalone or the small operation?
Well, I think that my comment there will be that you need to be sure that if you go to a small organization that there is sufficient backup to the advisor that you have. And that's one of the questions to ask is, what's your succession planning? So if you like the advisor that you would like to deal with at a smaller company, that's great. There's no problem with that. But the follow-up question immediately is, what happens if the proverbial bus hits you? Who is there to look after my investments? And will they understand who I am, and what are your processes around that? And I think that's where the regulator is quite good nowadays, because even for smaller advisors, they force succession planning, they force disaster planning. And I think that, so to me, I wouldn't use that as a reason to go to a big organization or avoid a small one. I think it's important to understand that you need to have a chemistry with a person. I think the third point is, how does that advisor get paid? And for me, that's a critical point. If you're making investment decisions that are going to impact you for the next 20, 40, 50 years, what you want to know is the advisor gets paid for as long as you are a client of that advisor, and that advisor is servicing you and looking after you, so that your interests are aligned there. They want to keep you happy, they want to keep you invested and keep you going to your goals. Whereas if they say, well, I'm going to get all of my money up front as an upfront commission, I would see that as a huge red flag, because they've got no interest in looking after you in year 10 or 20, because they're not paid that way. And so I think that's an important point to me. And then I think the last one is, they need to make you feel comfortable when you ask questions that might be embarrassing to you. If you say, I'm a corporate financier, but actually I don't know, all the stuff around personal finances, that shouldn't be embarrassing. You should feel free to ask what you might perceive as a dumb question, and they need to give you the right answers that are simple for you to understand, in language you understand, and not hide behind jargon. And then probably, you can get a sense that you're in the right place. But don't avoid the small advisors. Some of them are running owner-managed businesses, and they will be desperate to give you good advice and might be really experienced. So I think it's important to shop around as well. Interview 2 or 3 advisors from a range of organizations, and then choose the one that meets your criteria.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Warren. And this issue of losing money. Provided you're investing in assets, and very quick answer on this one, provided you're investing in regulated assets, you should be fine, provided that the financial advisor has been honourable in the way they set up your investments.
Exactly. What you don't want to do is invest money that goes into the advisor's business's bank account. So it needs to go into a product provider's bank account. So if you own shares or exchange-traded funds, an endowment or a unit trust or a retirement fund, you're absolutely fine. If the advisor goes bang, that's not going to impact you.
Great. Thank you, Warren Ingram. More with him in a moment as we get to Warren's Word of the Week, Warren's Weekly Word. And that is, what is a trust? With Warren in a moment.
The Money Show.
Personal Finance with Warren Ingram.
What is a trust, Warren?
A trust it's actually a legal vehicle or legal entity. So for example, a company is a legal entity, and a trust is a different form of a legal entity, and it's set up usually by someone, most of the time by a parent or a spouse, for moving assets into that legal vehicle to protect their family in the event that person dies. So for example, let's just say, there's a mom and dad, and they've got two very young kids, and the mom and dad have a whole lot of assets, and they're very worried that if they pass away, and the kids are, let's say, 2 years old and 4 years old, they don't want the kids to inherit the money at that age, because that's a recipe for financial disaster. So what they do is they set up a trust, and they put the money into that trust, and they say to the people that will manage that trust, and those are called trustees, that you need to look after the money in a particular way. And so we're going to write some stuff down about what we want to happen in our trust and for our children's benefit, and that's called a trust deed. And if we do pass away, you need to look after our children financially with the money that's gone in there, and you need to do it according to our wishes that are then stipulated in the trust deed. So it's an ideal vehicle for moving money from one generation to the next, and very great for things like, a family property that you'd like to stay in a family for many generations. That's where a trust is great. What it's not is a great tax planning vehicle, which is what a lot of people think is it's a great way to avoid tax. It's definitely not. They get quite highly taxed trusts. So I think for people that want to know what a trust is, it's ideal for young parents or for parents of young children, and for people who want to move assets to the next 1 or 2 or 3 generations after you.
Thank you, Warren Ingram from Galileo Capital, our personal finance expert, Warren Ingram, on a Thursday night. He is at Galileo Capital, where he is a director and also a qualified financial advisor. That's it from The Money Show for this evening. Back again tomorrow. Till then, bye-bye.